All right. Second video of the night. Posting this one in the morning, so you guys can check out my picks. Check out my recap video if you like following along. See how I did. Kind of my thoughts on last week's game. Jumping into this week though, let's run down some games. So week 9. So how I tend to do these videos, I got tier 1 bets, and those are bets I feel really good about. Have no problem recommending kind of other people to go out and wager on. Those are just the games I'm confident on. Probably wagering more money on those, and I just feel like I have a good angle or, whatever. Maybe you see what I see, maybe you don't. Definitely let me know in the comments. So tier 1 bets, and I guess I'm wearing my old Vikings shirt. Suck at Green Bay, and I didn't mention my other one, but I shaved. I hate it. No shave November though. Think about prostate cancer, other men's issues going on this month. Hopefully, I don't know if I'll do this again. I absolutely hate my shaved face, but a little fatter. But I'll lose some weight. I'll grow the beard back. We'll be back. We'll be right before you know it. First tier 1 bet. Hawks at Bills. So right now the Seahawks are minus 3-point favorites, on the road in Buffalo. Taking road favorites kind of can be a sucker play, but man, the Bills have been in like complete free fall lately. They just have not looked good. I don't have it up anymore, but they struggled against the Jets. They struggled against the Patriots last week. Two teams that are pretty poor, they end up winning both of them, but just kind of ugly football. Their defense can't stop anything. Their run game, questionable at the moment, even, once they get the tandem. The tandem was kind of going Zach Moss, Singletary last week against the Patriots, but, nothing too impressive. Josh Allen has really cooled off, from his earlier hot start. Just not too confident in the Bills as a particularly good football team, especially on defense. Meanwhile, the Hawks, they just got Jamal Adams back, as far as I know. Defense is looking a little more solid. Granted, the 49ers just had everything go wrong last week, but defense looking a little more solid. Jamal Adams back. I like them to turn over the Bills, once or twice. Josh Allen getting a little loose with the football. And, what can I say about the Hawks offense? You got Russell Wilson. They kind of are struggling to find their, starting running back at the moment. Just have a lot of injuries going, but DK Metcalf, Lockett, both healthy. Russell, feel good about the Hawks being able to put up some points on the Bills, and I'll take the Hawks -3, even if it is in Buffalo. Texans at Jaguars is my next one. Right now, the Texans are -7-point favorites. Another road team here, but they just benched Gardner Minshew. I mean, was Gardner Minshew benched? Does he have a broken hand that contributed to his poor play? Kind of all of the above, but I don't know who they got in line behind him, but there's no way it's an upgrade. Like, let's be real. I mean, I think the Jaguars kind of faked their commitment to Gardner Minshew and just kind of stuck him out there, gave him no support, traded away all their decent players, and we're really trying to tank for a good quarterback in the draft, whether that be Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields. I guess we'll see. But yeah, I mean, I just don't really like them to do much here. And meanwhile, you get the Texans coming out of a bye. They had played much better since firing Billy B. I think they lost in overtime against the Titans was their last game. And the Titans are having their struggles, but I don't know. I think the Texans definitely were just starting to get cooking, prior to the bye, with Brandon Cooks showing, getting a lot more involved in the offense. Fuller having a pretty nice year. Didn't get traded at the deadline, but, he's Deshaun's favorite weapon this year. And Deshaun Watson's a great quarterback. And David Johnson's done enough so far. And their defense, I've seen their D-line play good at times, but I think plenty enough to take care of the Jaguars and score points on their on a bad defense. So, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe -7 is a little too rich for a road division game, but I don't know, with the quarterback situation going on and just the way the Jaguars have looked since their early couple weeks, I don't see how you cannot take the Texans and feel pretty comfortable even with the -7 tacked on. Next game I got Patriots at Jets. Another road favorite. I'm just kind of realizing that now, but I don't care. Fuck it. Tier 1 bets. I still feel good about these. Patriots at Jets. The only thing that makes me a little hesitant in this is just the -7. Like, I can see the Patriots just struggling a little bit on offense and not being able to cover, but just because, like, Edelman's out. I think N'Keal Harry's still out. So they don't really have wide receivers right now. No tight ends to speak of. But, like, even if they did, Cam Newton wouldn't be able to hit him anyway. Like, this game to me is more about the Patriots defense being plenty good enough despite opt-outs to thwart a Jets offense that can't do anything, don't have any players. Sam Darnold's banged up again. He aggravated his shoulder, had another MRI, is going to try to play, but who knows? Like, even if he does play, he hasn't been playing very well this year. So, I like Sam Darnold, but, I think he's going to see a few ghosts again this weekend. And, like, the Chiefs didn't run on the Jets last week. They chose to, throw the ball. Kind of a disappointing revenge game for Le'Veon Bell, but the 2 weeks prior, the Bills ran all over the Jets, and 2 weeks ago, and 3 weeks ago, and the Dolphins 1 week ago, gashed them as well on the ground. So I think that is a pretty good matchup for the Patriots offense, which the one thing that they can do right is they have Cam Newton can still run, and they got that committee run game with Rex Burkhead, and I think James White's still around. And Damian Harris has looked pretty sharp for them at times. So, I like them to be able to gash the Jets on the ground, really control this game, turn Darnold and the Jets over once or twice, and be able to cover that -7. So those are my tier 1 bets. Check those out. I got some parlays and stuff going on them. Tier 2 bets. These are games for one reason or another not as confident about, but still I'm probably gonna stick my neck out a little bit and throw some money down. First one I got is Broncos at Falcons, and this one's kind of I don't know. Right now the Falcons are favored by 4 points. And I like the Broncos. I like the Broncos +4. I think I just kind of like the Broncos kind of underdog story. Last week getting that last minute win with the touchdown pass from Drew Lock to KJ Hamler. I don't know. I like Lock. I think they got momentum coming out of last week, and Jerry Jeudy is still there. He's a decent wide receiver right now. Tim Patrick I think is going to be back this week, and he definitely showed some stuff. KJ Hamler, decent contributor in his rookie year that I just mentioned. Noah Fant, another week healthier, and he's a monster. And they got a decent running attack. I know Phillip Lindsay, I think it was an ankle. Phillip Lindsay's a little banged up, but they still got Melvin Gordon. I don't know. They got a decent run game, and they're an underrated defense that's definitely given people some trouble. Meanwhile, the Falcons have been a bad football team. They're a team you can't trust. There's still the fear of a Falcons offensive explosion, but I'm just not seeing it. Calvin Ridley is going to be out this week. Again, and this is one of the better defenses that they'll have played. Todd Gurley is not a good running back. He's just doing okay just through sheer volume, but he's just a plodding running back at this point. Not someone I'm afraid of. So it's really just Matt Ryan and Julio and a bad defense versus Broncos team. So I'll take the 4 points and I'll cheer for the Broncos and see if Drew Lock can do some things. I think that's a way more fun to watch the game, and I mean that's the side I like. I'm not doing it just because. Another game I got, Bears at Titans, and man, I cannot pick the Bears right this year. And the Titans are another team I've struggled picking. The third team would be like probably the Rams, but. Yeah, Bears at Titans. Right now, I'm on the side of the Bears plus 5.5 points. And, the way I feel about this one is, the Titans have struggled lately. They lost to the Bengals this past week, and that was pretty, I don't know, kind of jaw-dropping to me for a team, I thought was still pretty good. The week prior, they kept it tight with the Steelers, and then the week before that, they won in overtime against the Texans. But I don't know. They're just a team that's kind of been struggling lately, and their team. I think the bigger thing for me is that they don't like as far as the way these games can go. Like obviously, yes, the Titans might blow out the Bears, but the Bears have a good defense, And I think in all the possible outcomes, I just don't see the Titans. I see it far more likely that the Titans, struggle a bit and end up winning in a close game or something of that nature. They've had 2 wins, I think, where they won by more than 6 points, and it was that overtime win where they scored a touchdown in overtime to beat the Texans, so 6 points there, and then they blew out the. I think they blew out the Bills. I think they blew out the Bills. I'm not gonna look it up. So they've had like one, and that was like double digits. But the Bears' defense is good, and I think the Titans' defense has played really poorly. They just can't seem to figure it out. Despite I thought them being a good defense last year, and then bringing in Jadeveon Clowney, I thought they'd be pretty good, but just hasn't worked out. Like they've shown flashes, but I think like one game I thought they showed a flash, but their defense hasn't been good. So I think the Bears defense or the Bears offense with Nick Foles and what they got going there will be able to move the ball. Montgomery, Allen Robinson, Mooney has played pretty well lately. I think the Bears will be able to move the ball enough to score some points, and I think their defense is going to do enough to slow down the Titans. And 5.5 points, I'm kind of comfortable with that, taking the Bears and just trusting that the Titans, even if the Titans go out and pull a win, which I probably expect them to do, they're probably not going to do it by more than a field goal. So I'll take the Bears side of that and probably kick myself later because I never seem to pick the right side of the Bears games. Next tier 2 bet, Panthers at Chiefs. So this one's a tier 2 bet strictly because it's the Chiefs and you can't ever sleep on Patrick Mahomes. But right now the Chiefs are minus 11-point favorites, and I think the Panthers are too solid of a team to be like double-digit dogs, even to the Chiefs. I mean, the Chiefs have their problems. They can't run the ball in short yardage. Their defense has been kind of inconsistent. Like they've had, they lost to the Raiders a few weeks back. Like, sure, they beat up on the Jets this last week, but Panthers ain't the Jets. The Panthers have, I think, performed pretty well on defense given their personnel. Better than people expected. So I don't think their defense is going to roll over. And their offense, I think they're getting McCaffrey back this week. And so you got Teddy captaining that offense with 3 great wide receivers, I don't know about great, but dangerous and fast and shifty wide receivers with DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, and Curtis Samuel. Curtis Samuel is the reason I had to catch myself there. I don't know if I'd call him a great wide receiver, but the other 2 are pretty. I mean, all 3 of them can be dynamic and make plays. So, especially in like your short yardage, yards after catch, I think they'll be able to, Matt Rule, Joe Brady. I think they'll be able to make something happen a bit against the Chiefs. The Chiefs defense, and the Chiefs can't run the ball, like I said. So I just think the Panthers are a good enough team where I don't like the Chiefs blowing them out by double digits. Obviously, it can happen. It's the Chiefs. A couple big plays to Tyreek Hill and Mecole Hardman, and it's over. But so there's always that. That's why it's a tier 2 bet. But I like the Panthers to compete a little bit. So I'll take the Panthers and I'll take the 11 points, and hopefully they can stick it out. We'll see what McCaffrey's got if he's back this week. Next tier 2 bet, Steelers at Cowboys. Steelers are currently minus 14-point favorites. And I don't know. Usually I'm kind of afraid of these double-digit point spreads, but the Cowboys don't even know who they're starting at quarterback. Sounds like Dalton was maybe going to be back, but now he's on the COVID list. But you got Ben DiNucci or Cooper Rush probably going to start for them. The Steelers' D is ferocious, and they're going to tear up whoever that is and their makeshift offensive line that they've been trying to throw out there. Dallas defense is bad, so the Steelers should be able to exert their will and cover, put up points without Big Ben having to do much. And I think the Cowboys have yet to cover a spread this year, so I think the Steelers are going to go out, take care of business, and I'm not too worried. I mean, it's a tier 2 bet just because of the 14 points. That's a lot in the NFL, but not too worried about the Steelers going out and taking care of business and covering that 14. Next up, I got Dolphins at Cardinals. So I mentioned this a little bit in my recap video, but sure, the Dolphins won last week against the Rams, but Tua didn't have to do anything. Like I think there was a defensive touchdown and a special teams touchdown. The Rams just couldn't get out of their own way. Yeah, so Tua had 12. He was 12 for 22, 93 yards, and he threw a touchdown. And I saw the touchdown. He kind of zinged in a short pass. And pretty inefficient on the ground. Miles Gaskin's hurt, so it's gonna be like Matt Breida and Jordan Howard. So I don't know. I just think the Cardinals are a team, or so the Dolphins. I mean, they're an unproven team with Tua. Like without Fitz, we've kind of changed the whole dynamic going on there, and I just think I'm gonna bet against Tua for another week. Until he shows some reason to believe I should be afraid of him. And the Cardinals, I think they're a team on the, I'm not just doing it for that reason, because I think the Cardinals are a team on the rise. Like, I kind of doubted them earlier in the season, and I still kind of have my doubts with them and Cliff Kingsbury and Kyler Murray, but I think this is a game where they should be able to, win and win pretty handily with a more experienced quarterback. And, they got weapons. They got DeAndre Hopkins. Christian Kirk is starting to play. And he's a receiver who can make plays. Chase Edmonds is going to be the starting running back, I think, this week. And whenever he touches the ball, he seems to get extra yards. So, and their defense played, I thought, surprisingly well against the Seahawks before the bye. So, I think Budda Baker looked like an All-Pro in that game. So, I think their defense is kind of on the rise. I mean, the Dolphins could do it. I think they got an underrated defense, really good duo at defensive back, but I don't know. I think Tua is gonna show the growing pains that come with a rookie quarterback who wasn't quite ready, and I think the Cardinals should be able to take care of business and cover the -4.5 points. That's what I'm seeing them at. So if I didn't say that, Cardinals -4.5. That's my pick. Saints at Buccaneers. This is Sunday Night Football, so I've done pretty poorly picking the primetime games. So I don't know. Keep that in mind as you take my advice or ignore my advice. So Saints at Buccaneers. Buccaneers are -5-point favorites. And I like the Buccaneers minus the 5 points. I mean, they had a rough night against the Giants, but it's possible the Giants defense is maybe a little bit better. It's possible the Bucs are maybe looking past them a little bit, and Giants got some luck during that game, but I don't know. I like the Bucs to get right. I mean, Saints are a division opponent. They're facing them. The Bucs are at home. They're not going to be overlooking the Saints. They're going to be, this is one of the biggest games that they've circled on their calendar. So they're going to come out. I think I like them just like they did. They lost to the Bears in a primetime game. They got the ship right, and then they dominated the week after that. And I think we're going to see that from the Bucs. I think they're going to clean up their act. I think Brady and he doesn't seem to tolerate any of that nonsense. So I think they're going to clean up their act. I think they're going to bounce back here against the Saints, and kind of a get-right game. Against the Saints team has kind of been limp on offense, just kind of a floundering team. Their defense hasn't been as good. Marshawn Lattimore just kind of having a disappointing season by all accounts. The Bucs are going to have Antonio Brown potentially, so who knows what that brings. I mean, I think obviously Antonio Brown can be volatile, but I think when he's on the field and when they're winning games, I don't think he'll be a problem. So I like Tom Brady to hook him up, and the Bucs offense to be competitive. Meanwhile, the Bucs defense is really good. They got a outstanding defensive line. It's tough to run the ball on them, so that's going to stifle Kamara a bit. Michael Thomas is going to be back, maybe, but, I mean, he's going to be banged up. He's not going to be at full health, so I don't think he's going to take the game over by any means. So I'll take the Bucs minus the 5. It's a tier 2 bet just because the Bucs have looked a little shaky last week, but, I feel pretty decent about the Bucs minus 5. And then I got a list of avoids here. So Thursday Night Football, Green Bay at 49ers. So I'm getting tempted into taking the Green Bay minus 7. Just because the 49ers, they just lost George Kittle. They just lost Jimmy Garoppolo. I think they just had a bunch of players hit the COVID list. So it's just going to be a bunch of no-names out there. They got like 2 wide receivers on roster they're taking into the game. It's going to be JaMychal Hasty and Jerick McKinnon at running back, but I don't know. I'm not going to sleep on Kyle Shanahan, and I think Nick Mullins can ball. So I think the Packers defense has performed so poorly, just not getting pressure and performing real poorly against the run. So I think Kyle Shanahan might be able to run the ball a little bit on these Packers. And the Packers defense, their kryptonite is a good run D like the 49ers have. They got a stout defensive line even with the injuries. So I think the 49ers defense might be able to give them some trouble. So I think just given all the injuries and stuff, I'm not going to stick my neck out and say 49ers are going to cover. But I'm definitely not comfortable with Green Bay, winning by double digits here. Just with the way Green Bay has kind of showed their belly lately and the way they've struggled against the 49ers in the past and good defenses like that. So I might convince myself just to take the underdog +7 so I can cheer against the Pack and cheer for my boy Nick Mullins. But that will just be a fun bet just because it's the only game on Thursday Night Football. Next game, Lions at Vikings. Vikings were -4-point favors, but my book at least has pulled this off the board because Matt Stafford got tagged with close contact, so he's currently on the COVID list. Might play if he tests negative through the weekend, but he'll be doing it on like 0 practice and 0 first team snaps, and Kenny Galladay's out. So I think if this gets put back on the board with a similar spread, I think you gotta probably take the Vikings just because the Lions are a flawed team. It's at US Bank Stadium in Minnesota. Dalvin Cook looking like a monster. Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, Captain Christian Kirk. Not Christian Kirk. Captain Kirk Cousins. I think you have to probably side with the Vikings there, but I'll probably just watch this game. There's a lot going on here. And the Vikings have broke my heart a time or two, so I'm not gonna ride too high after that Green Bay upset. We'll see if it goes back on the board and I like it. I might place a small wager, but probably just staying away from it. I want to have fun. I don't really need extra reasons to cheer for the Vikes. My heart will be in it either way. Next game I got Ravens at Colts. So Ravens are -2.5-point favorites, and I mean the Ravens have struggled, and I do see a game script here where the Colts, do pretty well and maybe even win. I mean, I think the Colts have a good defense with a great defensive line, and if they can bring pressure and kind of stop the run and make Lamar struggle a bit, I mean, we've seen that work. That's kind of the recipe for beating the Ravens. And the Ravens just lost their left tackle. I think a bunch of linebackers and safeties just got tagged on the COVID list. So the Ravens, got their issues going on. So I can see a game script, but the Ravens just, when they're on, they can be on, and I don't know, I have enough fear, I guess, that I'm not ready to pull the trigger on such a narrow spread, like taking the Colts +2.5. I would like more cushion there if I was actually going to put myself out there and do it. So probably just going to avoid that game. Maybe I'll take a Colts bet, but I don't feel good either way, so I'm avoiding that one. Another game I'm avoiding, Giants at Washington. I like the Washington side of this. I think they just have more talent on, the offensive side of the ball. I think Antonio Gibson might tear things up a little bit, and Terry McLaurin, obviously, is a very good wide receiver. But ultimately, these are just shitty teams, and I don't really want to spend my time on it. I'm not going to feel that good about it, trying to keep tabs. Another thing I didn't mention, Washington has a good D-line, and I think they're going to if they can bring pressure, completely stop the Giants' already bad run game and make Daniel Jones throw. I mean, probably a recipe in favor of Washington. So I have them in a couple like parlays and teasers, but don't know if I'm feeling strongly enough like one way or the other. And these are two bad teams. Not really gonna follow this game too closely. And the Giants, they've kept a lot of games close. So I think Giants won by 1 point when they faced earlier in the season, but I guess we'll see. Might convince myself to put a little more on Washington, but probably just avoiding this game. Raiders at Chargers. Man, this is the one I went back and forth on. So the Chargers opened as like -1.5-point favorites, but right now it's changed to a pick'em. So I guess money's coming on the Raiders, and I mean, I think these are very comparable teams. I would probably side with the Chargers, but I can't pick. I mean, I think the Raiders have shown some things. It's kind of confusing trying to trace through their schedule. They beat the Chiefs. They got a couple. They got another quality win in there. They got a few kind of disappointing games in there. Last week's win against the Browns is really hard to make heads or tails of. So I don't know. I'm probably just going to stay away from this one. I can see it going either way. I mean, the Chargers D has kind of underperformed, I think, lately. But obviously, Justin Herbert and their offense is on fire. But will they find a way to lose this game like they have like 4 other times? I don't know. So I probably lean Chargers just because I think that offense with Justin Herbert is just a little more inspiring. But I think the Raiders with John Gruden can be a good football team, and they've shown that a couple times. So definitely too afraid to touch that one. Just don't really have a good read on it. And I think that's all I got. So thanks for sticking with me. Let me know in the comments if you have a strong take one way or the other, or any of these games. You think I'm wrong? You think something I'm missing on any of these games? Let me know. I don't watch every game. I'm not a fan of every team, and some of you guys probably are. So let me know some angles that I don't have from some of these games, some of these teams and divisions that aren't the NFC North. And then check out my Twitter, Favorite Fade, if you want to just see kind of what I'm watching, as my thoughts change throughout the week. Anything I find interesting that I throw out there. Yeah, thanks.